Hello, everybody. What I've decided to do here is pull out the Bret Hart Elite style figures that happen to be in my personal collection. These Elite style figures were made by Mattel over the last number of years. And just going from left to right here, you've got the Defining Moments Bret Hart, you've got the King of the Ring Bret Hart, you've got the Ultimate Edition Bret Hart, and the two-pack Bret Hart that came with Bill Goldberg. That in general, they all do represent different appearances of Bret Hart, though they are all in that 90s period where he was in his peak of his career. What I plan to do with this video is just go through a one-by-one comparison of the figures that I happen to own, which is these four. They are all Elite style figures, not the basics figure. So all of these do come with the full hip articulation, the ab crunch, a few extra accessories compared to the basics. These are just the four that are in my collection. What you may find is that some of them work for your collection, some of them may not. It just comes down to each individual collector, beauty being in the eye of the beholder. So what I will do here is I will just start them off and let's launch into it. I'm starting things off here with the Defining Moments Bret Hart. I believe it was released as far back as 2011. So what you'll see right off the bat is, the really cool wraparound shades that he's got. That was a trademark of his career. He's got the Hart Foundation style jacket in a soft goods jacket, which you'll see is quite different from the Ultimate Edition that we're going to review next. And he does come with the world title belt here from that era. Now, there's a little bit of confusion here because this Bret Hart is based on his appearance at the Canadian Stampede. However, when I first saw it, I thought it was actually based off his appearance at the 97 Survivor Series. But he didn't actually have the belt during the Canadian Stampede. But when you look at the back of the box, they do refer to it being from the July 6, 1997 Canadian Stampede. Now, this is quite a favorite figure of mine in my personal collection just because it does happen to represent Bret Hart during the peak of his anti-American angle there, where I thought he did his best microphone work with the Hart Foundation. I absolutely love the belt, and yes, it is removable. If you look at the back, there are tabs that go in there. I got this figure off of my friend Peter in Ontario, very nice guy. And I just was glad that, since I did buy it on the aftermarket, that I was able to grab it when I did. Now, the thing with this figure is it doesn't have that usual equal blend of pink and black. This is mostly a black attire with pink highlights and details on it. For many people, this is considered quite a holy grail of a collection just because the aftermarket prices have gone up quite a bit. I personally, for me, I do display it on my shelf. It's the one that I choose to display with my Hart Foundation, with Bulldog, Neidhart, the custom Owen Hart I have, and the Brian Pillman figure. So for those of you guys out there, if you want to track this down to the secondary market, this is generally what the figure has to offer. It does come with a Canadian flag if you happen to find it complete, which I did not. I was happy enough to have the jacket, the belt, and the glasses. So ultimately, yep, that's what you're getting with this Defining Moments Bret Hart. Absolutely a gorgeous figure. What we have here is the Ultimate Edition of Bret Hart. Now, the big difference between this one and the Defining Moments version, as far as the aesthetic is concerned, is that this comes with more of a hard goods jacket. It's more of a rubbery plastic material rather than the soft fabricy version that came in the Defining Moments figure. Now, the good thing is that the arms do pop off. Like, this isn't a jacket that slides over his arms. It's really more like a vest than you put on arms that are meant to represent sleeved arms. Now, if you end up taking the jacket off, you can replace them with bare-armed attachments here. So like he's getting in the ring. I'm not going to pop them on and do a swap because there's many videos out there that do that. Again, this is more of a general comparison video. He does come with the open hands as well to do his sort of signature Bret Hart pose. And he's also got the close-fisted punching hands as well. I've chosen to go with the sort of neutral mic holding general neutral hands just because for me, that's just how I want to pose him on my shelf. And he does come with a couple of different head scans. Both are smiling in a way, one with the open mouth, one with the closed mouth. I know they look a bit goofy just kind of hanging out here by themselves, but if you do put the wraparound shades on them and the open hands, and you got him posing with his jacket, it does look like his signature pose. The only thing I really don't like about this figure is that, unlike the Defining Moments one in the back here, It doesn't open up very naturally for him to be able to put a belt on there. So if you do get a belt with him, you know, ideally for me, I would sooner put one on his shoulder like this. At least that's how I would personally display him. But, you know, again, it's an overall good figure. When I do talk about the blend in color, this does come with a more evenly spread black and pink color tone. And for me, that's an advantage over the Defining Moments one, which is more just overall black scheme with a few pink highlights. So I like the color scheme of this one better, but I don't necessarily like the rubber jacket that gives less flexibility to the figure. So yeah, anyway, that's where I stand with this figure. It pretty much fills any gap in your collection for Bret Hart during his singles career. You know, I do think it's about the most neutral one you could possibly find, and the most generic version of Bret Hart. If you do happen to get your hands on it, especially at a decent price, my suggestion is jump on it. This version of Bret Hart came from the 2-pack with Bill Goldberg. You can see Goldberg right there. So when you do buy the figure, you'll pay a little bit more than standard retail just because you're getting a second figure. But in many ways, it is worth it. It does come with the US title, which I usually put on Goldberg because I feel it represents the early part of his streak. As for Bret himself, which is what the video is about, because this is his WCW days, he does not come with the signature wraparound glasses. Now, if you're in a bind and you find that this is the figure that's more bang for your buck, and as of the time of this video was made, with the Defining Moments version and the Ultimate Edition version, both having gone up in the secondary market, this actually is probably the most economical version of Bret Hart. Again, you're going to end up paying for two figures because you get the Goldberg, but it does give you the most bang for your buck. Having said that, it doesn't come with his signature jacket. I've chosen to pose him like this with his arms out in the more signature pose, you know, and he's also comes with a couple of closed fisted hands, which are right here, which again, I'm not going to put them on because that's not really the purpose of the video. And he does come with the metal plate from the time that Bill Goldberg tried to spear him in the middle of the ring there in the Toronto film episode of Nitro. And he also comes with a Monday Nitro t-shirt as well. So where it fits a gap in your collection, reality of it is, if you were to take the US title off and you were just to pose him as a WWE style Bret Hart, you wouldn't be too far off the mark. For whatever reason, his pink is a little darker, you know, almost like an orangey reddish compared to his other versions of Bret Hart. But if this is the one you find and you just want to fill a Bret Hart in your collection, this is a pretty good one. You know, again, I prefer him with the jacket. And that's just one of those things that he didn't happen to come with. Totally okay with me. Given that I do like to collect Bret Hart overall, but that's ultimately what you're getting with him. So the last Bret Hart figure that I'm going to go over is this 1993 King of the Ring Bret Hart, earlier on in his singles career. Now, unlike the other Bret Harts, this one doesn't really overlap in terms of filling the same gap in a personal collection. I mean, if you look at any of the other three Bret Harts, any of those could represent his peak singles run when he was either the world champion or the US champion in the WCW days, or the Intercontinental champion during his early days. I guess you know what I'm trying to say here. This represents a very specific moment in his timeline when he won the 1993 King of the Ring, was being coronated on stage when Jerry Lawler came and confronted him. I would consider this a bit more of a novelty figure. If you're looking for collection suggestions and you don't want to go buying, you know, too many versions of Bret Hart there on the market, I would suggest, you know, you get any one of the versions you see in the back, or the upcoming Survivor Series release version, which I will have one day. It's just not here right now because it hasn't been released yet. I would buy any one of those sort of like neutral, generic, standard releases of Bret Hart, and then I would buy this as a novelty figure. So if you're only going to have two Bret Harts in your collection, I would certainly track this one down. I can't tell you exactly where to track them down because right now they're on the secondary market. So, you know, whether it's eBay or somewhere else, that's really, it's going to really be up to each individual collector where to find them. When I talk about a novelty figure, you know, I'm really talking about a one-off, something that represents a key moment in his career. Case in point, and I may do a video on this in the future. I mean, you've got a standard release of Ultimate Warrior, and that's the one that, you know, it is the general release that I happen to display in my collection. and then what I consider a novelty figure, which would be his Hall of Fame 2014 appearance when he was older and later in his career. So, obviously they've got several versions of the more standard release Warrior, but only one release to date of the Hall of Fame late career novelty figure, or what I call a novelty figure. So that's my honest and candid opinion of what I could suggest for those of you who want to collect, or if you just want to buy every version of Bret Hart out there because you're a big fan like I am. By all means, I would encourage that as well. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder when it comes to collecting, so do what suits your collection. I'm just here to kind of say, here's what works for me. So what are my final thoughts on this? Well, for me personally, what I've elected to do just on my display shelves is, I've got the King of the Ring version of Bret Hart displayed with other figures, just kind of mishmashed in with characters from the 80s and the early 90s New Generation era. I've got the Defining Moments version of Bret Hart displayed with the Hart Foundation there, meant to represent their 1997 stable. This Ultimate Edition of Bret Hart goes on a shelf with just a mishmash of other figures that don't have anything to do with wrestling. And some of them do have to do with wrestling, but a lot of them don't have to do with wrestling because it's just a mishmash, everything blended in shelf. And then this other version of Bret Hart I happened to get because I actually wanted that version of Goldberg, but I happened to think, hey, that's kind of a pretty cool Bret Hart. So I haven't really decided where I'm going to display it yet. I guess ultimately what I'm trying to get here, guys, is I've thrown out some suggestions there. I told you what each figure in general has to offer. As a collector, hopefully, I've helped you be informed enough to make your own decision. If not, if you just happen to want to grab the next Bret Hart that happens to be on the market, or the next Bret Hart figure that you happen to come across, by all means, do that as well. The beauty about collecting is there's really no wrong answer here. So, happy hunting. Enjoy the way you collect. Join me in the rejoice and praise of Bret the Hitman Hart as far as collecting his figures are concerned, and I'll see you next time with some more toy content.